So as we continue on our journey in the season of Lent, we're in week 4, and we find ourselves in Matthew chapter 19, where Jesus encounters the rich young ruler. He's just moved into the region of Judea. And this man comes up and says, God, what do I need to do to follow you, to give my life to you? And Jesus says, obey the commandments that I've given you in the word and do all that I've given you. And he says, I've done it. I've done all of these things. And he says, all right, now go sell all of your possessions, give it to the poor, and come follow me. And the rich young ruler walks away saddened because he knows he has a lot of stuff, a lot of possessions, and he knows that this is going to be a really hard task for him. I think Jesus knew that as well. And he knew that there was something that he was holding on to in his heart above him. And so as he walks with this man, as he's walking with his disciples, there's this truth that comes out that it's really hard to give things up sometimes. And I know that in our comfort, sometimes we forget that it's what God has called us to as followers of Jesus Christ, to give up ourselves, to give up our own desires, to give up our own wants for the sake of Jesus Christ. In the season of Lent, we often will give up something that reminds us throughout the day to pray, to focus in on Jesus Christ. And I don't think that this is a practice just meant to kind of for a season ward off sugar and candy, but this is a season to be reminded that Jesus is the most vital thing in our lives. That there is nothing in our lives above Jesus Christ. And when we put aside the comforts of everyday life and everyday living, and we say, God, I want to focus my heart and my mind on you and you alone, it's just this great reminder that helps us to stay focused on who God is and what he's called us to do in this life. He's called us to make much of him, to give him glory, to worship and glorify him. And so as we go through this season of Lent, we're ultimately looking forward to the day of Easter, where Jesus came back after he died and paid the penalty for our sins. This is just a reminder that this life is not just about us. This past week in Jim's sermon, he talked about in Matthew chapter 10, what it was to be a disciple, going off to the wolves ultimately, right? And how they would go taking nothing with them because God was their provision. May this season of Lent just be the reminder that God is our provision, that day by day, as we look forward to Easter, as we've given these things up for Lent, it's just that reminder that let God be our provision. As we might step out into workplaces or school or different scenarios that are really difficult, may it be a reminder that he is the one that we need most in this time. And he is the one that will walk beside us and he will shepherd us through that valley.